right, good morning. Ryan's here. He's got a project for us to bring up to New York. Something that we think can help out with some land clearing and making the place a little bit more useful. Look at this thing.
Oh, this is the truck that
you like it back in there, huh? What do we have here? What do you call this?
It's a DR brush mower.
Nice.
I think it's early 90s. 91
Oh,
maybe.
It looks like 71.
Yeah, I think it's 91. It's hard to tell, but early 90s.
And I can see some belts coming off of it already. So this is something Ryan's used at his house, but it's kind of a real piece, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got carb issues.
Okay.
And some drive issues.
One of
The
those
wheel drive.
Updraft Briggs carbs. Those aren't too bad to work on.
And recently it started throwing the belts.
Okay. And yeah, what's up with the wheels, the drive? Well, let's pull this thing out. We'll take a good look at it. Oh yeah.
Jet.
Well, that's a terrible looking belt. This belt looks good. Let's see if there's any like adjustments on the belt. Doesn't really look like it. So that's the drive belt, right? And then this is the mowing belt. So you got the. We'll figure it out. But it's.
Oh, this is broken.
Okay, yeah, gas can. I think we can always put a different gas can on there. That's not too bad. Yeah, I mean, at least everything's here easy to work on. Like you could just get to that. Did you say one of the wheels didn't work or something?
It like sometimes it'll feel like one of the wheels isn't spinning, and then it'll engage. And,
is it this right one that doesn't spin?
Like it's a bear to use.
Okay.
And then sometimes it feels like they're both engaging, and it's a lot easier.
So obviously you have the chain on this side. So then, like, there's a shaft that obviously goes through, should power both at the same time. I wonder if there's some sort of differential in there or something. But
When it cuts good.
okay. Yeah, people like these things, right? Yeah. This is something Ryan's always been saying, like, you should flip it and sell it, but now we're thinking we'll just bring it up to New York. We've got plenty to do up there with this thing, so it would definitely get used, as well as the Bobcat. But you know, this little brush mower would be real handy to get into some of those harder to reach spots. So yeah, we'll see if we can work on this. It's a couple days later here, and I'm at this point where I can't get this thing to fire off a little, so we got to start diving in right away. I'd love to see how it runs first, or see how the belts work before we start taking apart a carburetor, but looks like we're not getting that luxury. Underneath the carb you have a bolt. It's 7/16. Wasn't on there too tight. So you don't lose it, you can put it back a little bit. All right, the carb is off for the most part. Gotta get some pliers to take the fuel line off, and then you have one linkage here that I'm trying not to bend. But yeah, that's pretty easy. You're likely gonna be too far away, but I wanna see if this thing has spark, since I didn't hear it pop off even at all. I do not see spark. Oh, I feel it. So we got a little. Put a little spray down the spark plug hole. Pop. All right. One pop. That's what we're going on, guys. Just starting to get into this carburetor here. I'm gonna unthread the main jet. I don't feel like it's coming out though. That's gonna be a big problem. It's just spinning and spinning. I don't think you could take this carburetor apart if that doesn't come out. I don't know why that won't back out. That's a big problem. I have no idea if you can get into this carb. Oh, look at that. Screw is loose. I don't know if you can get into this carb without getting that out. What in the world? Off camera, I put on a different spark plug. I put the carb back on and see what happens. Kill wire doesn't work. Alright, I didn't want to touch this while I was running. Let's get this belt back on. Seems like it's ready to move forward. Let's try that again. Drive belt fell off immediately. It's very worn out. I don't know if it's routed correctly. Looks like it goes inside out. Let's try that again. I mean, for an old thing, I don't think there's too much wrong with this. So we have plenty to test it on over here. I don't know if you can tell how tall some of these weeds are, but this hillside is pretty bad. So this thing is pretty crazy on hills from what I hear. So it might be best to go down below and then work our way up. I don't know. Ryan says kind of a death trap when you're doing hills, but that's where my weeds are. I do have some over here. Maybe I could try first. But yeah, let's get the air cover on there and see what this thing can do. Yeah, that thing just ran flawlessly. I just did a little minor adjustment on the carb, and with a load on it, it really evened right on out, and you can see it idles great. Kill switch doesn't work, but you could just choke it out. So, you know, I'm not selling this thing, so I'm not too worried about making everything perfect on it. You know, we could deal with just choking it out to kill it. That's not a big deal. Could definitely use some grease here on this part that slides. I'll let you see that. This is when you engage the blades. All it really does is make the whole unit a little longer, and then puts tension on that belt. And then you do have a Zerk fitting there, I believe. Yeah, that is. So that's nice. There's probably some grease points here. That's interesting. Yeah, grease point there. There's one there. And maybe we'll check on this. Maybe this is slipping a bit. Maybe that's why Ryan said it was that slave wheel wasn't doing a great job. I could definitely experience some of that, but it really wasn't bothering me too much, but obviously I haven't used it too much. This thing's not bad. So let me get in tight so I can show you that belt for the drive, and I'll show you what I did there. So this is a really easy setup in here. I'll pull on the tensioner. You can see that's all it does. You do that, and then the wheel drives. Pretty simple setup. There's your PTO off the engine that does the outer one there to the left is the drive one. You can see it tightening up when I pull the handle. And then the other one does the blades. It's very simple. So yeah, what was I doing in there? This belt was inverted, was flipped. So you can see all these cracks. This belt needs to be replaced. But it is a little bit of a V, very flat, but it is a V belt. And the outside part of the belt was on the inside of the pulleys before, so it's falling off. Like this, it's not bad. I mean, it would be really nice if there was like another belt guide. There's one. There's one belt guide right here, so that's good. But it would be nice if there was another one. I mean, this is such a twisted design too. You can see this belt, you know, it twists, it goes under, and it twists. It's one of those things where the pulley is flat here and it's vertical there, so you got to do like this like twist in the belt. Somehow that works. I would never think that that would do it, but we can address the fuel tank, maybe even put a different one on there. We could sharpen the blades, obviously. We could look if Tractor Supply has another belt like that. I mean, this one will last. It doesn't seem like it takes too much punishment, but might be nice to find a better belt. And I bet you could find a couple different sizes, because this, I mean, yeah, doesn't. Are you supposed to be able to lock that in? There's a spring. I don't think so. Kind of crazy to lock it into drive, but it does have a spring on it. Anyway, just getting distracted. Let's see if it fires back up. That's always a good test to see if it fires after being hot. When I did it before, I was basically full throttle and I was off choke. Yeah, the recoil, yeah, could use a cleaning. Love it. I think this thing is doing great. Ugh. Duct tape and gasoline, that's a bad mixture. Alright, let's see if we can find another gas cap for this. It's wonderful when parts are just that interchangeable. There we go. That's fixed. Let's have a little look underneath. I haven't checked out the blades. I guess this is what you would expect from like a DR trimmer. I hope this isn't like holding on the blade. No. Just something my brother ran over. What's up with this? I bet it's supposed to be up here. The deck kind of seems, the deck seems like it's a little off center from this hole. And I wonder if that collar slips up in there. I don't know. Can you guys see that? See this thing? See that hole? It's not, the shaft is not centered in it. Is this collar supposed to sit up in there and keep it centered? Oh, you know what these are? These are set screws. Wait, now I can't get it down. Okay, yeah, so that's a set screw. Set screw, as there's missing one there. I don't really know. I don't really know. That takes an 1.25 inch socket. It's my biggest one out of my impact set to take this off. Yeah. Let's get some PB Blaster. PB Blaster and ear protection. It's a pretty good combo. Yeah, here come the Ryobi jokes. I know. Yeah. I mean, we could sharpen these blades without taking them off, so maybe we'll just do that. So we had quite a battle with my grease gun, but I think I finally got it working again. It likes to quit on me, but works well when it's working. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 grease points on the top here. We're gonna hit all of those. I have no idea where this grease is going. Probably just lubricating the shaft for the blades. I don't know, quite a lot's going in there, but we'll check on how that's doing. I do have one right here on this wheel. There we go, that's coming out. There's one on the axle. Yep, see that coming out now. There's one on this side of the axle. Now there's this whole kind of shaft here. Now there's no grease point on it. This is like to tighten it so that it locks. I don't see why you would ever want to do that, but I might just apply some by hand. I mean, definitely this is metal on metal. Not that it sees a ton of action, but probably a good idea to lubricate it. Now when you pull this, so maybe I'll put some up top here. Yeah, I really wish there was a Zerk fitting on that, and then you could get the middle of this shaft, but we can't, so we'll just do it this way. Better than nothing. pretty hot out here, but I tell you what, this does beat weed whacking the hill. I just ran it till it ran out of gas. So I didn't finish. A little more than half of it. Yeah, I mean, we got the top portion. You know, all this is sort of like, I don't even mess with that. You know, I had a friend come over here with an excavator and clear out a bunch of trees, and he didn't want to mess with that corner because it was kind of wet over there. Not like it's wet lands, but like just letting the wet stuff be wet stuff, you know. But here used to be just a huge pile of brush. People used to throw their brush here before I owned the property. Trash. I mean, there were probably 30 trees down here. I know it's hard to believe, but we had a tornado come through that took care of a lot of them. And then he cleaned up afterwards. And yeah, we love this hill now. You can see all the way down to the creek. And I gotta weed whack all this stuff too, but you can usually see the water. So it's quite a lot to maintain, but it's definitely worth it. And we love the view. So yeah, this DR trimmer, it's not bad. Here's my review on it. The way it functions best is if this drive wheel is on the low part of the slope. So that's why you saw me cutting most of the time coming this direction. So if you go this direction, the drive wheel is on the high part of the hill and it doesn't have a lot of traction. So if this thing had 2 powered wheels, it would be an animal. But I mean, and I think everything's operating the way it should. You can see with this like little ratchet system here, this little clicky clack system, you know, this thing can freewheel without engaging, I guess. I don't know, it's pretty weird. Seems to work properly, it just isn't the best, if that makes sense. So I don't think there's anything in here I need to fix. Keep chain and sprocket adjusted. I think it's just to keep tension on it. Yeah, the tension's fine. It's just this weird system, but yeah, it works great. At one point it was bogging down with some of the heavy stuff, and I just made one little carb adjustment. You probably didn't even notice it, but just made one little carb adjustment, and then it, you know, that was the only single thing. No belt slippage, none of the belts came off. Engine had no trouble. I just made a tiny carb adjustment and then it started eating through the heavy stuff. No problem, no change in RPM. So, I mean, this thing is pretty awesome. I probably have that air cover, like, I should probably spin it, you know, like that. There you go, it's probably making some of you guys crazy. Yeah, there's one additional problem that you didn't experience on film. It leaks gas. The carb leaks gas, so you have to shut the fuel off. To me, that's not a big deal. I know Ryan kind of wanted me to fix that, but I can't take the carb apart. So my only other option is throwing a different carburetor on here, and I might have one, but man, this thing runs sweet. So I'd really hate to put a different carb on it. To me, it's totally manageable. Flip that fuel shut off on the back of the tank, no issue. Right? What do you guys think? That to me is a solution. To me, that's better than putting a different carb on, because when the original carb runs well, I think you just do everything you can to keep it on there, even if it's shutting off the fuel every time you're done with it. You know, it's the original carb. Nothing's gonna run it as good as that. So yeah, let's I think we gotta go out and get some gas. I always have no gas. What's up with that? All right, I gotta get some gas and we'll finish this job. Okay, we got some gas, and I went to Tractor Supply and I got a new belt for it. So this is a 1/2 inch by 32 inch belt. I brought the old one in so I can measure it. Now, for the most part, it looks the same. This one's definitely shallower. This one, the V groove, is a little deeper. So we'll just see how that goes on. I think it'll work. So we did run into a little bit of a problem. It is flooding out pretty bad on hills. It doesn't flood on flat ground. It's really dried out over here, but it was dripping a lot of gas coming out of that carb. And I know why. I mean, you can see this bolt isn't even bolted down. I can't unscrew it or screw it in. It's gonna snap. I also can't get the main jet out, you know, so I can't really clean this thing. So this is becoming a bit of a problem. I mean, it works great on flat ground. It doesn't flood out. It just leaks out of the carb overnight. So I'm starting to lean towards seeing if I can put a different carb on here. Let me see what I have in the shed, because I do think I had an 8 horsepower Briggs on a generator, but let me see if I can find that. Yep, well, this is what I had in the shed. It almost looks like an aftermarket one. I think it is. You know, it's like one solid piece. The only thing that looks quite different is the way that breather goes in. So I'll see what we could do about that. I think we're gonna have an issue with the bolt here, but could probably just leave that out. I don't think it'll be a big problem. So yeah, let's see if we could just bolt it up from there. Should be relatively easy. So a bit of a problem with the new carb here. The opening of the carb is too wide for this elbow. So I think I have to take this elbow off. It looks like this is correct, like there. And then this at the bottom is wider to accommodate this aftermarket carb. I think I have to get, unfortunately, the muffler off, which I'm not too excited about that, because I don't think I can get to that Phillips head. I'm going to try one more time to get to that Phillips head, but that looks a bit tough to me. I just persuaded the muffler out of the way just a little bit with a crowbar. So I really didn't want to take that off, because you just run into trouble doing that, right? Everything's going to strip out and snap, and that'll never be the same. So glad we avoided that. All right, big question. Yeah, that fits. All right, sweet. Okay, another problem with this, it's not going to work. This is way too long. It makes, you can see the difference here, and it's gonna not allow that to mount up. Got this whole throttle plate would have to be moved down, the springs would need to be adjusted, the linkage arm would need to be adjusted. All right, I found one other option. I found another carb. This actually looks like a better match because this air piece can attach onto here. Yeah, I think I need to take this apart. It doesn't seem like the needle is letting any air pass, so it feels like the needle is stuck. So this will definitely mount up with this red intake. So yeah, we're going with option C. See, this one's coming out. See how long that is? And that really keeps everything together too. Like, you can't take this top piece out without doing that. At least that's what I'm familiar with last time I opened one of these up. So obviously we're going to clean out those holes. You probably can't see them, but there's passages there. Okay, it looks unused in here, but I think the needle is just stuck in there. Still can't blow anything through there. So yeah, I mean, almost like it was never used. And it looks aftermarket, so maybe it was never used. All right, so that works now. You can hear that air going through. So I just didn't show it to you, but it just needed to be, the needle just needed to be pulled out. Just real lightly. Like stuck from no use, you know, type of thing. It wasn't even gummed up. So I'm putting this back together. I got a bit of a problem with this. I can't get anything through that hole, and I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a hole there. There's a hole at the bottom. There's these two full holes there, but yeah, that needs to let fuel by, because this is your adjustment. That's not good. I cannot get anything through there. All right, gotta keep trying though. Okay, I know this is choppy and a mess, but I pulled the emulsion tube out of that one, and I could either use this one. I mean, it's, I don't even know if it'll go in. Kind of seems like it's a little bit different. It's a little different. Or I could use it just to get the correct size drill bit. I might try that and then just drill out whatever in the world is blocking that. So maybe we'll try that. Well, the drill bit worked, so I think we should at least try this one before we do anything else. So let's see if the original to the third option, original, I don't know anymore. Let's see if this works. I can't even tell you how long I've been working on this, but I finally got that carb to work. So check it out. See if we'll start up for you. What do you think, bud? Well, it idles really well. Full throttle, like, not as good as the original carb. And the original carb started first pull usually, but that one's more like second. So we'll just have to see if this leaks gasoline, but I guess we could go back to our job over here. 2 hours later, it's less sun. Maybe we can finish this thing out. We'll see how it does on the hills. We'll see if it stays running there. Yeah. It's kind of all about a compromise when you put these cheap aftermarket carbs on there. You know, it doesn't idle real great now. I don't know. I've been adjusting it a lot. After it got hot, it definitely operated differently. So this is sort of what I was worried about when you put on a different carb. The old one ran this thing way better, but it doesn't leak now. And it doesn't flood while you're using it. So what do you guys think? It's kind of dangerous to deal with flooding, so it's better that it runs mediocre. I mean, it really doesn't run mediocre. It operates great. You know, let me show you. But it used to run better. So yeah, it kind of took me all day, but I did my hillside. Let's get the tools cleaned up from the yard here. We owe this thing an oil change, and then she's done. I'm done working on her. That's the best I can do for you, Ryan. I mean, there's no mechanic that would have spent that long working on this thing. They would have thrown it in the trash long ago. But you know, for me, I'm on summer break, I'm making a YouTube video, it's worth it for me. So plus we'll get good use out of this in New York. All right, so let's give this poor girl an oil change, and then I'm calling it quits. Well, you're never gonna guess, guys, but it's still leaking. Yeah. Is that just what these carbs do? Does anyone know? You know, there's nothing I'm going to do at this point not to solve that. I'm just going to shut off the fuel. It's not flooding while you operate it, and that's really much more dangerous if it floods while you're operating it. So, yeah, carb drips while it sits. Wow. That's some thin oil. A lot of gas in there, huh? Yeah, that needed to be changed. So I was just looking up the oil capacity, the engine codes on the top there. If you can see that, it's a 195422-0760-01. That gets you this 8 horsepower IC Briggs, and it looks like it takes 44 ounces of oil. I think you basically just fill it up till you get to the top of that, and then you call it a day. But I think it's, you know, 1 1/4, something like that. It's like almost 1.5 quarts. So let's fill it up. Okay guys, she's finished. Let's just see if she'll start up for us after the oil change. 3 pulls off choke. I guess that's not so bad for an aftermarket carb. Well, sometimes I wonder if I made it better or worse. No, it wasn't running when I got it, so this thing's definitely better, and it's fully functional. Got a new belt, sharpened blades, good spark plug. We fixed the flooding while operating issue, not the flooding while sitting. Still seems to leak. But what else did we do? We greased all the fittings, we made sure it worked, and it's ready to go up to the Adirondacks. So pretty cool old trimmer. These DR trimmers are popular for sure, and they work great. I mean, it's just a big lawnmower, but it's off the ground. You can kind of go over a bunch of rocks and uneven terrain, and the thing just doesn't stop. It mows really nice, and it definitely handles the tall stuff and the thick stuff. So I could see why people like these things. I've never operated one, I've never worked on one, but looking forward to using this on our 60 acres of land in the Adirondacks. It's going to help us clear that field for sure. All right, thank you guys. Hope you appreciate this small engine and sort of antique engine operation that we are doing this time around, this DR trimmer. This was a lot of fun. Again, my name is Kyle. The channel is called Kyle by the Creek. I hope you liked the video and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you back next time. Thanks, everyone.